All righty. Hello. Ready, folks? I'm Dr. Tiara Moore, founder and CEO of Black and Marine Science. So today we are taking over the Patty channel to talk about the organization, talk about our upcoming Black and Marine Science Week, and just being black and diving, really. So I will go ahead and let everybody else introduce themselves. So introduce yourself, say what it is that you do, say what it is that you do with Black and Marine Science and your scuba diving level.
Okay. All righty. I'll kick us off. Hello, my name is Dr. Camille Gaines. I am currently the board chair of Black and Marine Science. I've been with the organization since it was a thought, and I've had various roles with the organization. This is something, kind of I do. I'm also a teaching professor at Penn State University. And I really am a coral reef scientist at the end of the day, right? I enjoy coral reefs. My PhD, that research and postdoc research has been looking at coral reefs and really looking at how a coral reef transitions from a coral dominated state to an algae dominated state, which is not a healthy sign. But I really focus on why that algae is there, right? Why is it so successful? And why is it able to maintain that space and even increase in coverage? I'm hailing from you live from Philadelphia, right outside the city is where I live. I'm originally from Philadelphia. So hopefully during this time, we'll talk about, my journey, right, from going from the city of Philadelphia, right, to studying tropical coral reefs. So that is me. I think I got everything. Oh, except my dive certifications. I have a PADI open water certification as well as an AAUS, so the American Association for Underwater Sciences. A lot of times when you do research with a university, you have to have that scientific level as well, right? Just basically corroborating that you know how to do specific scientific skills under the water, right? I achieved both of those certifications in 2013, and I've been diving ever since. So that's mine.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So if you're just tuning in the audience, this is Black and Marine Science. We are taking over the Patty channel to talk about our organization and all the things that we do. All right. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is April. April Ellis. I am a PhD student at the University of South Florida and the College of Marine Science. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, but I am now in St. Petersburg, Florida, living it up in Florida. I study microplastics and how they affect human health. So I combine public health with marine science, so I have them both together. And one of the most amazing things about working with Black and Marine Science, I am a member, one of the most important things. I've been a member since it started, when we had membership. That's how I met Dr. Tiara Moore and Camille, and we've been working together. So I love our organization so much. I am PADI Open Water certified, and the best part about this is that I got certified last year during Black and Marine Science Week, so I'm back for round two. Round two, I'm getting advanced scuba dive certified, so I'm super excited. And one of the major things that I love about this is that not a lot of times students or people of color get to be dive certified because of the price and a lot of other things, factors that come in. So I'm super grateful for Black and Marine Science for allowing me this opportunity once again. And I'm just here excited to talk about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those great introductions. So, how it's going to go today is really a conversation. And so the goal is to really introduce the Patty audience, our colleagues, about what it is that we're doing, but also talk about some of the challenges that we have while scuba diving, because I think that's something that simply they don't know. A lot of times when we talk about the organization Black and Marine Science, we hear the feedback, oh, well, why do we need Black and Marine Science? Or I've even heard people go as far to say, well, where's white in marine science? And so when we look at the numbers, we know that marine science and scuba diving in general, just looking at the facts, are both predominantly white fields. So it's not really a need to call it out, because that's just how it generally is. And so for me, when I've been in these spaces and, even though I've earned my space at the table, it can be quite challenging. So I'll just give y'all an example. And I'll stop for a second because I realized I didn't tell my scuba story. So I am PADI Open Water certified, as well as AAUS certified, scientific scuba diving certified as well. So that's me. But I recently went on a dive, and I was, there in the boat, got my gear, everybody else is there. So you can assume, we were all divers. But before we pulled out, someone who did not look like me, craned their neck around. Are you diving with us? I was like, oh, what would I be doing here? Like, what would I be doing here? But I think that is really some of the experiences that I've had when I come in, even if I have my gear on, I'm seeing it's like, oh, maybe I'm not belong, or I'm a new diver, or somebody needs to help me put all my gear together, teach me how to breathe through a regulator. So that's really what we've been trying to do as an organization, is to really break that stigma, break that barrier, and then provide opportunities so we can change that space, change scuba diving in general. So I guess, what are some experiences that you all have had in the field? And I'll say good or bad, but we just want to be real, because again, I think this is the most important part, is sharing with our colleagues our stories so they can understand that everybody doesn't have the same experience while diving. We love to say, oh, it's the best, and it is, but there are some challenges before we even get in the water. So I just want to give y'all this space to just share.
I'll let Camille go first because you've had a lot more diving experience than I have, so I feel like you can give it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the story you just told, T, right? It's really about us seeming like we don't belong in these spaces, and it's disheartening, right? And on top of that, it's like, I've been diving since 2013, and the people who are doing this, some of them don't even have that experience that I've had, right? It can be as simple as walking into a dive shop, right, and somebody checking my certifications, yet the people in front of me just smooth sailing, right? So it's like, well, why me, right? This person just got certified, right? And so it's just consistently having to prove myself, right? And then even working with my colleagues, right? I always like to dive safe. And there's times my concerns are just, oh, well, no, 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 no. And again, going back to the fact, how long have I been diving, right? Longer than these people sometimes, right? My experience is I've never had problems like that. And it's because I dive in a very safe way, right? And so when I bring that, right, looking out for the team, it's disregarded. I find that a lot. And we got like three things against us, right? We're Black, we're women, and we're young, right? For being in the dive spaces that we're in. And so it can be disheartening. But at the same time, this, Tiara and I have known each other since I was an undergrad, so quite some time. But I just say that to say I've always loved the water. Even before I knew that like being a marine scientist was a thing, I've always enjoyed being in the water. Always. Like, it brings me calmness and peace. Just something about being surrounded in water does that. And I enjoy that, right? I know there's other people who enjoy that, right? Because there's a whole field of scuba divers, right? People who go and search out these experiences, right? And on top of that, the amazing things that we're able to see underwater, right? The amazing organisms. Like, I love learning about stuff in the ocean for that reason, right? There's so much. It's always going to be new. I can never be like, you know what? I know everything about the ocean, right? Because we barely scratched the surface. And so having a mechanism like scuba diving that can help me, right, to stay under, to really interact with this space is amazing, right? I've been able to travel so many places, right, to scuba dive really all around the world. Experiences that I can't even put into words sometimes, just the feelings, the sights, right? And I'm sure many of you who are on this PADI Live, right, you guys see that as well, right? That's why we're here from Black and Marine Science talking about this. And I think it's important because the numbers don't match the people who are interested in doing this. And I think that's one of the reasons why Black and Marine Science is so needed, right? So we can have those avenues, like Dr. Moore said, for folks who are interested to take those steps, right? To learn about this, right? And devoid of these experiences that might deter them. And so I think when I think about the ocean, I think about Black and Marine Science, right? We're really here as an avenue to show people, hey, yes, these are spaces we belong in. We've been here before, right? And so we shouldn't be stopped.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Camille. What about you, April? I hope as a new diver you haven't had that many bad experiences, but yeah, tell us just about some experiences that you have had or noticed since you've been diving.
yeah, so I haven't had any terribly bad experiences, but one of the hardest things about being Black and Marine, like being a Black diver, is the fact that a lot of these wetsuits don't fit us. My biggest problem that I've had is that I am, as a Black woman, a lot of us are very curvy. We have, women, we have boobs, we have things happening, and a lot of these dive shops don't have dive suits made for us. Like most of the time, I have to go in the men's section, and then it's not proper because it's not meant for women, and there's air pockets, which is not good when you're trying to get your weight right. So that's been one of the hardest problems, and I'm hoping, and I know throughout the time, especially in our Black and Marine Science community, to get it out there for these dive companies and especially these dive shops to diversify their like gear and their like diving suits, because that's one of the biggest problems that I've had. Getting certified last year was amazing. Getting certified in Florida as well was one of the biggest things that I was super happy about, and the community, being around people of color, just people that understand, that you can talk to, be real about, don't have to pretend like you have to be a certain type of way, is so relaxing. And so it makes me feel much more secure. And I've carried that on to my recent dives, which have been cleanup dives. So I study microplastics. So plastic pollution is a really big issue, especially here in Florida and around the world. So lately, we've been doing a lot of cleanup dives around here in the Tampa Bay area, and I find that so relieving. Usually, I'm one of the only people of color, which is usual. But to be a diver and they're like, wow, people will be like, you're diving with us, right? Like, let's get in there. And to have that confidence that I know what I'm doing, that I know how to put on my BCG, know how to go through the checks, has definitely been one of the redeeming qualities of this. So I'm really hopeful that we can advance this and really just get dive shops more aware of like people sizing, because that was one of the biggest issues that we had last time. So yeah, overall, such a good experience though.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. I think that's a whole nother conversation, Henny, because I've been in many a wetsuits and the struggle is real. So whoever makes wetsuits, who is it, Scuba Pro and them, y'all need to do better, okay? Because
And
the struggle is real.
can we also just put out there like maybe a cheetah wetsuit or something purple, the black, like we got to get the colors going,
Yes.
Go ahead and get a film wetsuit going. I mean, there's a lot of people here, so listen, when you put something in the atmosphere, it can be done. We have a great set of models here, as you can see. So if you're listening, this is us putting this out in the universe. So the mission of Black and Marine Science is to celebrate Black marine scientists, spread environmental awareness, and really inspire the next generation of scientific thought leaders. That's the mission. So if you're just joining us here on PADI, we are Black and Marine Science, and we are taking over the channel to talk about what it is we do, the mission that I just stated, and our experience as Black scuba divers, because it matters. I don't know if you've been under a rock for the last 2 years, but really 10, 20, 30, but things matter. When you look like me and the folks on this screen, we have different situations, and we just talked a little bit about, how we go into dive shops. We're automatically assuming, like, oh, we're the help, or oh, we're not diving, or we're not at the level that we are. But we are. So the goal really of Black and Marine Science is to change all of that. Like, why do you assume that I'm not a scuba diver? Why? Ask yourself that, because it's y'all who are asking the question. So we really do need to challenge you to think about it. When you're diving, if you were to see another person of color or a Black person there, do you question them? Are you that person? Be honest, because we know it happened because it just happened to me a couple days ago. But anyway, so like I was saying, the mission of BIMS is, like I said, to celebrate those Black marine scientists that already exist, but also spread environmental awareness because we are marine scientists, and really inspire the next generation of scientific thought leaders. So we run a series of programs, one of which is our very exciting scuba dive class. And so with our scuba dive program, we have been able to remove all the barriers, literally every barrier that is involved with becoming scuba dive certified. So we cover the cost for, the flight, the hotel, we bring the whole group down, take care of all of that. And fortunately, with our partnership with PADI, we have been able to get e-learning code sponsored by them. So that has been great. And so I want to talk about just what y'all feel the impact of the scuba dive class has been. I'll start with you, April. And then I want to talk about our new vision for this year of let me upgrade you. So go ahead, April.
Yes, of course. So the impact has been, I can't even put it into words. It's been enormous for me. I never thought in a million years that I could get scuba certified just because the cost is a lot. And that is one of the major barriers for how it's not very diversified a lot because money is, come on, we already know that this is a big thing. And also being a grad student is extremely hard to try to put money away. So last year, getting certified with a group of Black marine scientists, but our BIMS group in general, was incredible. The companionship, but also being in a safe place with people that you can talk to and instructors that are there to help calm you down and not pressure you or not make you feel like you don't know what you're doing, to make you feel like you can't do this, was an amazing at like overcoming that was just awesome to be in that environment. And even now, moving forward since last year when I got open water certified and moving on to my advanced dive certification, I've been able to use my certification, like I said before, to do cleanup dives and to dive with friends as well. It's one of the most amazing things being underwater and just seeing a different world, right? And cleaning up what we as humans have done to our beautiful oceans, which is just so sad to see. But if we can make one step forward as a Black scientist, but also as a human, right? We want to preserve our waters for the future and for our future kids and kids after that and people after that, so overall the impact has been just enormous for me.
Yeah, I think the class in and of itself, it speaks volumes for reasons like April said, but generally as Black people, we're not seen as being or having intimate relationships with the ocean, right? We're not seen as being able to swim. As you're people ask you like, hey, do you even know how to swim, right? Why? Because we've historically been excluded. It's not like we aren't interested in these things. We don't have the passions or the capability to do them. It's that we've been excluded, right? And so having a class, right, where we have people who have historically been excluded partaking in an activity like this, it speaks volumes, right, to our community about, hey, the limitations that we that are put in place, right there, they're not limitations actually, right? But also to allies, right, and saying these are the things that we need to do, right, to make sure that these spaces have the representation, right? The folks in these spaces feel safe, right? We need to right those wrongs, and that's really what it's about. And so, just being a part of like the organization, right? Being a part of something like this is a game changer for me as well, right? Because a lot of times I don't get the opportunity to be around a group of Black people to even talk about science, right? Like my colleagues, I feel like sometimes they take that for granted, right? And so to be in these spaces, right, to have these conversations about dive, it's like, it's a very unique experience even for like Black people, right, in the field. And that's something that it's priceless. So, and I
Yeah.
think the fact that we're able to do it again this year, right, and adding on that additional layer, right, where we're going to be having some folks getting open water, but folks like April who came and got certified last year coming back and getting an additional certification, right, is creating a pipeline, right? The vision is we could have scuba instructors coming out of this program. That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Yeah, so y'all started saying a lot of stuff. I had to start jotting down notes. I'm like, hold on, wait, let me. I gotta make sure we capture all of this. But no, this is great. Y'all hit on so many different things, and the one I want to call out, I think, with our program, and because I'm going to brag about what we do. I think for us is how we have really tried to show the different levels in the program with the students. We've been, tried to support Black instructors in our program to sell so folks can see like, hey, this isn't just a one thing. You can really see the progression and see yourself as a scuba diver. And then also the mentors that we have in the program. Camille, you and I have been a part of programs where we literally are, just some little Black kids that they brought in, and we don't see anybody in the staff or in the faculty that looks like us. I remember the last program we ran, one of the students made a comment to me like, I feel like I'm, on vacation with my sister because, talking with me. And I'm like, this is so cool. Like, I love that they feel comfortable, because a lot of science things we do is like stuffy and you feel like you can't be yourself and you're like, ugh. But to just have that level of comfort, I think is amazing, that we've seen from our program. I want to go somewhere else and then come back. Okay. Because you brought up the historical exclusion. And I would like to talk about, because we just gonna go ahead and go here real quick, Patty. Let's talk about historical trauma. I think what is never said enough about the conversation, like, oh, Black people don't swim, or oh, you're afraid of the water. Well, why? Like, why? And I think not refusing to talk about historical trauma that Black people have with the water due to our ancestry, due to the things like the transatlantic, like slave trade, things to like us, some of our ancestors literally choosing the ocean instead of going to what we now know is colonization in the world that we're in. So how do we acknowledge that and honor that and say, hey, like, that's something that's tragic and we went through it, but we can now kind of take the water back as our own and explore it and find beauty and healing in it, similarly almost to the ancestors that did choose to jump. I say they found healing. So a little bit deeper than I thought we were going to go, but how do y'all feel about that? Because I think that's just never talked about ever.
I'll go ahead and talk a little bit. At least from my side of it, it really is a deep, deep cultural issue that has been lately. It's been talked about because all of a sudden, back, in 2020, when everything was happening, now everybody wants to open their eyes to how Black people have been treated over a lot of years. But especially when it comes to swimming and the dive culture, right? Growing up for me, it wasn't really, people would always question, right? Do you even know how to swim? If we went to like a lake or something, even like as a child, or to the pool, right? Parents of all colors would just be like, wait, she can go on the water, right? Does she need floaties? Does she need something like this? And to me, it it makes it so much harder to even get the courage to go in, right? Because you have people, not just Black people, but white people, every person just coming to you, questioning you of like, can you even do this, right? Do you even know how to like move your arms or tread water, or like doing that stuff? So it's definitely a deep cultural issue, and I feel as though, especially during the our BIMS community, just getting out and having these uncomfortable conversations that should have been talked about way before these recent past years, to say, hey, we exist. Also, let's fix this issue. Like, why is this not a comfortable conversation that we want to have? Why are people uncomfortable with having this conversation right now? Like, yes, there are Black people. Yes, there are Black people that can get in the water and swim. Also, why are there not a lot of programs to advance students and young children to get into the water of swimming, especially students like kids of color, right? There should be like this all over the world. So I definitely think this conversation needs to be had more and more.
Oh man, yeah, there's a lot of things, a lot of things. And I'll just start, April, with something you just talked about in programs, right? I started learning how to swim when I was a child because of the daycare center that I went to. And when my mom realized that this is something Camille enjoys, she went out and to pursue swim lessons, right? And there actually was a program offered by the city of Philadelphia called the Swim for Life, right? It was funding because we know that African Americans have one of the highest drowning rates. However, it was interesting. And as a kid, it was above my radar, right? Most of the other people who were actually in the classes with me were white, right? So there was a disconnect between where that money was coming from, right? Who was intended for and who was actually knew about it, right? Yeah, I had a very hands-on auntie, my mom. Shout out Leslie. Very hands-on mom. She made her business to like find things like that, right? But why aren't these things easier for people of color to find, right? So when we're talking about these things, right, it's not just having them, but making sure that the communities that they are supposed to target, they're targeting, that people know about them. When it comes to Black trauma, oh man, that's a good one, T. That's a good one. And I think just time and actions, and not the time of people of color and the actions of true allies of white people. I think that's really going to be the thing that helps, because there's just so many scenarios, so many situations that just let you down. And like I think about it quite frequently. Like, oh man, like here I am, and yet again reduced down to a very finite box of stereotypes about Black people, which they don't apply to me, right? It gives people the opportunity not to even get to know me, right? It's like, oh, boxed up right there, like, and that's not who I am, right? That's not who we are. The diversity within Black people, right, is also a part of that trauma, realizing that. And I think that the only thing that's really going to help and right giving people the space to heal from that, I think it has to be time and people's actions. I think it has to be. And those actions can be actually taking the time yourself to incorporate Black culture into your lives. We live in a society where it's anti-Black, right? Why don't we know about the contributions of black peoples, right, Black cultures into science, into so many different realms, right? Why is that? You can't tell me that they're not there, right?
Right. And I think, yeah, both of y'all brought up some good points. I think, Camille, what you just said is about the actions. And I think one of the actions is really happening right now is folks listening. Organizations, like Patty, who can use their platform to say, hey, it's time for us to listen and see what this other organization, these divers who are all Patty certified divers, but have different experiences than what I see on the little Patty website. When I'm scrolling on Instagram, I'm like, well, where was when somebody asked them if they were there to carry the scuba tanks? Like, when is that? When is that post gonna show up? So we have these different experiences, and so we need organizations like this to give us this space to be able to talk to our colleagues who may say, oh, Black and marine science, that's not for me. But no, actually, this is for you. This is the opportunity that you have to listen to your colleagues that maybe you don't dive with every day, but you will eventually. And I can guarantee you that they've had a similar experience that we're talking about. And so this is your opportunity to listen and challenge yourself the next time and say, hey, maybe I don't make that weird comment. Maybe I just mind my business. Maybe I do something in my community to make diving more exciting, to youth and folks of color. And I think that's what's important. Because I think at the end of the day, I go back to us being scientists. And I think what really makes our work even more important is that as scientists, we see that the environmental injustices and climate change and ocean impacts like sea level rise impact Black communities more, period. And so when you see something like that, and you see these folks are also left out of the conversation in ocean spaces and dive spaces, you can see how this injustice continues. And so I would really like y'all's thought on how your awareness as a scientist has also led to this work really being important, and also you really just seeing more of the injustices, because I think that was an eye opener for me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So yeah, just the entire impact of it, right, between white divers and black divers, but also scientists, right? I've been um, told upon many times that, like, are my do I know what I'm doing in my scientific world, right? My research that I spent, right? I spent 4 years of undergrad, 2 years of my master's, thousands and thousands of dollars went to a top school. And you know this, Tara, because we've had this conversation of, going to a top school and still being told that, like, over and over and over again, right? Are you sure this is right? Right? Do you know, even though they have no idea of my field, they're totally left. They can be like something in a whole different in a physics department talking about my research in plastics. So that injustice in general of just kind of why do we have to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight all the time to get baby steps? And that's the uncomfortable but real conversation, right? Like, we constantly have to fight for our lives, we have to fight for our health, we have to fight for our mentality, our mental health, one of the biggest things in this, in our work in the science field, just to be relevant. We can't, and this is known, right? We can't just be a normal scientist where we can produce regular papers and people are like, yeah. No, we have to produce 20, 30, 40 papers, or we have to go above and beyond, right? Grad student, one as one of the only Black PhD students in my college, I am constantly aware of this underlying pressure that I feel, but other people put on me to not just be a good scientist, but I have to be an excellent, amazing, above ground scientist. So as this returns to like diving, that's how it feels a lot of times why it's held back for students of color, or and not just students, but people of color to get into it, because it's like our mindset is like they're already discounting us. They're already telling me that I'm not going to be a good diver. So our mentality a lot of times is why even try? And that's sad. And that's something that as SPEMs we are working really hard to say push that hate away. Let's forget about that ridiculous injustice, and let's realize like we got this. So yeah.
Camille, yeah, what's your thoughts on just the environmental implications, thinking about Black communities face larger injustices, things like that?
Yeah, I just want to harp on one thing that April said really quickly. This idea that, you're in grad school, you're learning, right? You're learning and you don't know certain things. Why are you there then? Like, and it always amazed me, right? I'm literally going places to learn and I'm getting penalized for not knowing things. Why am I here? And like that is one of the solstices that got me through my graduate school, because it's like, well, why reminding people of that, right? Well, I'm here clearly to learn, right? So let's be about it. Do you have resources for me? Like let's like what like and so that's something that I think is a disservice in higher education that you come across a lot. Um, and it's unfortunate, right? But that's just something that I just want to share. And like hopefully if there's people who are listening who are in higher education thinking about that, right? Thinking about this idea that why am I penalizing folks for things that they don't know? Is it because they're not doing it on my time frame, right? Then you need to rethink the resources that are available to them, right? And how they can actually utilize them. But anyway, that's one thing. But going back to the diving, as a environmental scientist, right? As someone who cares about the ocean, there's two things for me. The first is this idea that us incorporating Black people is one conversation and us doing the research is another. No, they shouldn't be, right? We should be doing these. We should be teaching folks about the research that we're doing, right? And that goes to my second point. And it's a disservice. I've gone right to where I have done my research in the South Pacific, right? Most of the people who go to that island are not people of color, yet the majority of the folks who live there are. There's very little conversation sometimes with some of the researchers and those folks who are there, the indigenous peoples. And it has to start there, right? How can we get, as scientists, we're always talking about how alarming things are, right? You would think we would want more people on our side, like, hey, yo, we gotta inform people. We gotta make sure they know the information, right? This thing that I've been studying for decades, right? Have all of this data, so then they can make decisions, right? Especially the younger generations, right? But that's not what happens, and I think that is one of the biggest downfalls. And especially, right, if folks don't know that environment, right, through via swimming, through scuba diving, right, then how are they going to understand what's happening, right? People are more invested in things that they can understand, right, that they know. And so it starts there with that relationship and encouraging, especially through scuba diving, people of color, right, getting involved in that. So I think those, for me, T, those are my 2 points.
Yeah, that is great. Something that you just brought up that you made me think about is the travel that we do get to do as divers. I think that is one of the most exciting things, for us to just go to all these different amazing places, but that also can be a challenge. So I just wanted to just take a moment to just call out to our community, the dive community, to think about like when you're going to these places to dive. You know, we love saying we going somewhere and talking about it, but like look around. You know, are there other are you know, how are you treating the folks at the dive shops? How are you working with them? How are you interacting with the community members? I think that's something that we really do need to think about as divers, because we just come in trumping about like, oh, we're cool, we're doing this. But it's like, no, this is folks' lifestyle. They live off these resources. And so we definitely need to be mindful how we are interacting in these environments. So going back to BIMS in our program, um, so the exciting thing that we are really trying to build in our program now is this pipeline to dive instructor that we're calling it. And so the goal really is, because we've talked about it, you know, the majority of scuba diving just not having a lot of diversity. So you can imagine if there's not a lot of diversity in open water divers, dive instructors are even less diverse. We just don't see a lot of Black scuba instructors. And so we really thought, okay, how could we change our dive program of just offering, you know, the open water, to really be able to move up to offer the advanced, then go to rescue, go to dive master, go to dive instructor, through our program. And so luckily, you know, we pitched this idea to PADI this year, and they supported it, and supported us having some advanced e-learning codes for our dive class. And so April, you will be taking our advanced class this year. I'm so excited for you. I'm not even at the advanced level, I guess, with AUS. So I guess, how do you feel about that? You know, taking the class, but then how do you feel about like the potential to be a dive instructor? Like, just all of that, because I really think that's important. Like, because we really want to show this isn't just, oh, we want, you know, Black folks here. Like, no, we want to really change the face of who people see as scuba divers, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing the fact that I can get advanced scuba certified. It's been on my list for a while, since I got open water scuba certified last year, to just kind of move up and eventually I want to get scientific dive certified, in the future very soon, and then also rescue, whatnot. I think it's very important to have that level up in this, especially in the diving world. And as Black divers, right? We don't want to just stay stagnant, because who wants to do that? We need to show that all of us can keep going, more diving, get even advanced than most people can do in their lives, you know? So getting advanced career certified is awesome. And it's just something that I I come back to this often. In my mind, I didn't think was possible because of barriers that are in place, not just financially, which is a really big one, but also just where can I get dive certified? What are some safe places to go? It's one of those things where I was thinking about of like, I don't want to just go to some random dive shop I don't feel comfortable at. So the fact that I get to be with Black instructors again is like amazing, and to just be around people that I feel okay getting in the water with, like being not just okay, confident. Like I feel like I can go down there and I don't have to, like I feel like if something were to happen, they wouldn't just be yelling at me or something like that. So I am just super excited. Last time we were on the east coast of Florida, so like near Miami-ish area, Pompano Beach. This time Key Largo? What? I've never been in the Keys. I don't even know. I was like, okay. So I'm getting to go to a different place than I've ever been before, and this is just gonna keep going up and up. And I eventually do want to be a instructor, be a master diver, so that I can teach other people, especially people of color, to get diving, to be out there. And this advances my work in the scientific realm as well. So I think this is great.
Thank you. If I could just interject, Camille, before you answer, I think something that I'm excited that you're excited about the program, but something that you called out struck me is that safety piece. And I think that is something that our other divers don't necessarily have to think about or be worried about. And I just want us to just take a moment to sincerely think about that. And then also how heartbreaking that is. Like how to know that folks are diving and like they can't even trust the folks they're diving with or anything, like like they might not support them because there's that mistrust that comes in. It's like, I'm getting in the boat, you already don't think I can dive, and then like, why would I trust you now? It's like so many things going on. And so this is a safety issue. Like you're underwater, there's a lot of, like, you're supposed to be free of mind. So when we have these things going on in the dive space, in the dive conversation, that's just not beneficial to anybody. So I really do hope that you all hear what we're saying and these issues that are bringing up, because this is dangerous at this point. It's like, you want somebody to go out there and drown because like you're petty? No. Like, no. So I think that we really do need to think about the conversations that we're having and the spaces that we're creating in the dive community. And I really hope y'all are listening. All right, Camille. So, what are your thoughts as like you said, somebody who's been at BIM since the beginning, seeing how we've grown, seeing the potential to now, go all the way up to dive instructor. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you think this is going to change scuba diving?
I mean, so many ways. Like as a diver myself, for the reasons that both of you talked about, right? It's a different experience when I'm diving with people of color, right? It's a different experience when I'm diving in an all Black community for multiple reasons. A, because it's a small community, right? We know them, right? Whether it be I'm diving with UT, which we have many a dive together, right? Someone else that we both know. And so it's a different experience in the best way. And so sharing that opportunity, right? I think that is important. Even just hearing April and her aspirations, right? I'm thinking like, oh, like maybe one day April can like certify this person I know and that person I know, like, like that's great. Like, I think that those are the things that are needed, right? And it goes back to what we talked about, right? It's not uninterest. It's not uninterest, right? So what are the things? And we've talked about some of them, right? And so I think having the space, and y'all both have said this, and you just said it, T, listening, right? Just being able to listen to people of color in particular in these spaces, it's a safety issue. And so it's exciting. It's exciting to be a part of it. From my own journey, right? I've talked about like completely leaving science and not necessarily diving like that. Not because I don't like it or I don't enjoy it, but just simply for the social interactions and the spaces that I've had to navigate. And so having, a pipeline really, because that's what it is, of like going from no scuba certifications all the way up to instructor, that is, again, game changer. It's not just a one and done. We are invested, right? And going back to the time and actions aspect.
Right. Yes, we are. And like, just to go back again to our horn again, we do cover everything. So we make sure there are no barriers involved in participating in our program. And that does take a lot on the BIMS team. We go out and fundraise specifically for this program. We make partnerships with organizations like PADI that can help to support, maybe it can't be financially, but they can help with e-learning codes. Like, how big, that's half the class right there. So that's a huge support. So PADI, please keep supporting us. Please put that out to the universe, because we really want to, like I said, go all the way up to dive instructor. So we actually have a question from the audience. And it's, how can high schoolers get involved in diving, and also like community science programs? I try not to go through with citizen science just because it's kind of doesn't include everybody. We know everybody here isn't citizens, and we want everybody to know that they can be divers and they can be scientists. So anyway, how can high schoolers get involved in diving? I think as far as the age, what do you have to be like older than 12? I'm pretty sure it's like 12 and older. You can be a diver. And so if you're talking about our program, all you have to do is be a member of Black and Marine Science. And so you can sign up to be a member. If you go to our website, it's just BIMS, BIMS, Black and Marine Science, BIMS.org, and all the information is there. And so to be involved with any of our program, you're a member, you're in. But there are other programs, Google is friendly. I don't know them off the top of my head, because I had to create my own because there wasn't any for us. So again, if you want to get involved with BIM stuff, just join our membership and you will be involved. And it's great. We offer so many opportunities. It is a paid membership. We do have sponsorships available, but it's only $10 a month and you get it back immediately. Isn't that right, April? Haven't you got your $10 a month back?
Yes, I have, and worth every penny of it, to be honest with you. So
Yeah, so we do our scuba program, but we also have our YouTube channel. Wow, I can't believe I haven't talked about BIMS TV yet. So everybody now go and subscribe to BIMS TV. It's youtube.com/Black and Marine Science. And so our YouTube channel has now about 150 different episodes of Black marine scientists all over the world talking about their research, but talking about, nutrient pollution, the climate, the ocean, Black while scuba diving. Camille, jump in.
Also, there is a YouTube video on diving, scuba diving, done by your girl. So
Camille did a video about scuba diving, but we've had panels about literally, we have a panel called Diving While Black, where we talk about things. We've had conversations about taking care of natural hair while you're scuba diving, because that's important, something that's not talked about. So yeah, definitely our YouTube channel, definitely subscribe. We have content coming out all the time. And I have to talk about our largest event that's coming up, Black and Marine Science Week. So, like I said, this is Black and Marine Science taking over the PADI channel. And we are a nonprofit organization really trying to change the face of who people see as scientists, but also increase ocean literacy in the most impacted communities. And one of the ways we do that is our annual Black and Marine Science Week. And so this is a virtual online event of keynotes, workshops, panels, professional development. We got trap yoga. We got poetry, we got beach cleanups. There's so many things going on. So mark your calendars. It's November 27th through December 3rd. So during that same week, we will also be running our dive class, where April will be becoming an advanced scuba diver. So again, November 27th through December 3rd. So is there anything, y'all have been participating in BIMS Week for 2 years now. What are you most excited about?
I think what I am super excited about are all the panels. So the panelists and the panels are one of my favorite things to listen into, because I can be doing work and other things, but also I'm engaged and I'm learning so many things I didn't know, right? Like last year we have the black while diving, our hair, especially in diving, that's a big thing that I was learning a lot of different tricks and like everything to learn about. So I think definitely the panelists and all of the different discussions are what I'm looking forward to.
Oh man, there's so many things. I think overall, though, seeing the diversity of ways that people interact with the ocean, Black people in particular, I think is super cool. And you see that through a lot of the keynotes and the different types of keynotes that we are able to get. Last year, one of my favorite keynotes, Queen Quet, the leader of the Gullah Geechee community, amazing job, right? Amazing job. And like talking about historically, right, our relationship with the ocean, but bringing it into present day. It was amazing. It was amazing. And so just seeing the diversity of ways that the ocean really inspires folks and Black people, that's one of the things I'm definitely looking forward to. Of course, the scuba class as well, right? Since I'll be down there kind of helping out, tagging in. So I am looking forward to getting to know the participants, right? Just being a part of their journey as divers. That's always going to be exciting for me.
Yes. So again, November 27th through December 3rd, there will just be all types of events going on virtually on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ Black in Marine Science. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything. I think what I'm most excited for this BIMS week is that we are actually going to start it off November 27th with the International Day of Service with BIM Sweeps the Beach. So we literally have 17 different locations that are going to be hosting beach cleanups all on the same day at the same time all over the world. So it's just going to be BIM's cleaning up over here, BIM's cleaning up over here, BIM's cleaning up over here. But just making a huge impact to start off the week to show that we really care about these beaches, these oceans, and we want everybody else to care about them as well. And so that's one small way that you can get involved. If you're not a scientist or you're trying to figure out how you can, do your part in helping, definitely join, check out one of our beach cleanups that's going on around the world. Black and Marine Science Week, our theme this year is Marine Science is Lit. And we're really trying to really just get folks excited about the ocean, saying like, oh, this isn't a job for me, or this isn't a real career. Yes, it is. It's for you. Come join us because we have the best job literally in the world. We get paid to scuba dive, y'all. It can't get any better than this. Okay, so we are getting towards the end. I guess we gotta get it fun. So I was actually on like the dive this weekend. So after the foolishness, when we found out that I was there to actually dive, it was an amazing dive, and I saw some awesome things. But I was able to see a spotted eagle ray for the first time, and it just came out of nowhere. Like, I was like, oh my God. So, what is the coolest thing that you have seen while under the water?
Good question. I think so. Recently, I did a cleanup dive here in Tampa Bay area, and one of the things that I saw was this like baby stingray. It was like a small one, and obviously we stayed clear not to get too close to it, but I got to see it, which is actually pretty cool because I haven't seen one before. So I think that's probably the coolest thing I've seen while diving.
Okay, for me and T, you were actually on this dive. When we were in Maria, it was the second time I would have been there, and we were diving in a site that is not the best in terms of it doesn't have a lot of like coral coverage and whatnot, a lot of algae, not the best water quality. And we saw two octopus, and they were getting ready to mate, and they were like changing the color of their, like basically changing their skin. Like that's the best way I can put it. And like amazed, and I can just remember us like just there like looking at it, and like they could tell we were there too, right? And so they had like a little defensive, like, yo, stay back. But then on the other side, he was trying to like, impress. And it was just like the coolest thing, like see, like that they can like change their skin like that. But seeing it in action was like, I'm weak. Like I'm weak. So that's definitely top for me right now.
And I think that like the moment we all just had is like what we get from scuba diving. And I hope all of y'all saw that. We enjoy scuba diving. We enjoy being scientists. We enjoy also being Black. But sometimes because we are Black, we are not allowed or capable to enjoy the space we love so much. And that's why we had to create Black and Marine Science, to really show that these challenges exist, but they're not going to hold us down. That these things are happening, but folks are going to start getting called out. And that we are really going to be the change that we would like to see. So the next time you're diving, you see somebody who doesn't look like you, don't assume that they don't belong there or they're there to carry your tank. Y'all, they're not. They're not. Like, they don't got on a little dive shirt with the name of the place on it. They're not working there. Okay? So I really hope that y'all, just enjoyed our conversation tonight. I'm going to give y'all one if y'all want to say a closing statement, but also tell the streets where to find you. Please, please, please make sure you tune in November 27th through December 3rd. We're going to be having a lot more real conversations, but also talking about research, talking about the awesome marine science things that we're doing, but also the other programming all on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Black and Marine Science. If you want to follow me in particular, I am at Curly, CURLY _scientist, Curly _scientist on social media. And my last words is, what is it? Just don't be raggedy. Go ahead, April. I saw you come off mute.
Well, thank you all so much for inviting me to this conversation and just being open and honest. I think that's one of the biggest things I want to say is to literally listen and to stop being like this massive, like, I want to learn but not learn. Like, do your own research, but listen to what we're saying, right? Because what we're saying is facts, as we like to say. Black scientists are lit. Okay, Black scientists are lit. So that's kind of one of my last words. But if you want to find me on Twitter, I am at April, APRILELLIS_. Again, that's at April Ellis _. That is my Twitter. Come follow me, learn all about my research and cool stuff.
Yes, yes, I like that. Black marine science is lit. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, y'all echoed it for me. I mean, we out here in these ocean streets, right? We out here, okay, and we making the lane wider and wider, right? That's all I have to say. You can find me, of course, lurking in the streets with the BIMS team, and also at on Instagram at the @ symbol C Gaynus, but SEA, and then my last name Gaynus, GAYNUS.
And Black and Marine Science is just at Black and Marine Science on Instagram, but at Black and Marsai on Twitter because it was too long and they wouldn't let us get the whole thing because they were being petty. All righty, y'all. We really do hope that you enjoyed this live, but also we really do hope that you heard our message. We belong in this space. We love scuba diving and we want to have way more of us, just so many more, just out there in the streets as open water divers, as dive masters, as dive instructors. And so we are so grateful for the support of Patty for helping us to reach that goal. Thank you so much for tuning in and make sure to follow Black and Marine Science. Have a great day.